It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Dating Right, one of our passport bros, of course. You know, he travels, he does his thing. He hasn't found one yet, but he's still trying. And he just traveled and got back recently, so the man's doing his thing. And he did a great video on the Ebony Williams thing, and I'm sure you guys seen it, but let's discuss it throughout the video. Please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus?
So that's
if he owns it. If he owns the bus,
See, that's a problem.
Who owns their own bus as a bus driver? Just like that thought right there. Like, what are buses? Usually school buses or city buses? I mean, I guess there could be like a party bus driver. Okay, I guess that would be the one that would be you're owning your own bus. That's the only one I can think of.
That's a problem.
For the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of black men when I said what I said.
What does that exactly mean? Pouring into the ascension of black men. Do you think black men can just go buy buses so easily? Is that what you're trying to say? You're trying to push them to go buy buses and do better? Is that what your little speech was about?
But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse.
I haven't heard anything
now,
wrong.
I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best.
There's plenty of women that are in this boat too. I don't understand why this is like she's pointing it towards men. There's plenty of women that B's and C's that made it through all their life and are doing okay. What's up with this, degrading people for their grades? Grades actually don't fucking even matter. They really don't. A straight A student that was in high school doesn't even compare to some of the top minds.
Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations.
Guys, I tell you.
Whoa. Bigotry of low expectations. Damn. Now let's see what the man has to say.
Ebony K. Williams is one of the women who really do make men miss Kevin Samuels.
It's hard for modern women to understand that the things that they've given their life for, their jobs, their families, and everything else, don't matter a hill of beans to men. Not to the kind of men you want.
Nope.
Don't matter a hill of beans to men. What does mean to a man who doesn't care about your education or your money? We don't need that. We need you to be fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, a good reputation, and a healthy womb and a low body count. That's what high value men want. Oh, yes.
If KS was still alive right now, man, he would do a nice monologue.
Rest in peace, Godfather. It's been a little over a year now.
All on her.
No, homie. He was helping us. Yeah, he was bringing them bitches down to a level where they needed to be. Look us eye to eye. Because for a long time, them hoes been looking down on us since that TLC song, I Don't Want No Scrubs.
Mr. Right here,
the passenger side of his best friend ride. So I'm a good man. Just because I'm in this passenger seat, you want to discredit me. So yeah, till Kevin Samuel come along, we didn't know how to handle them with good credit, with money. They got their own. They kind of somewhat successful. We didn't know how to handle them. That was a little fat that think they need that 6'4" with broad shoulders. Now we know how to correct and check thanks to Mr. Kevin Samuel.
And this is not about shaming bus.
Like I said, not a big fan of Mr. Right. Don't really condone much of what he does most of the time, but what he says is correct. I agree with him. I also learned from Mr. Godfather himself.
Drivers, but I want to be clear. If you are driving a bus today, and that is the maximum of your skill set, I love and appreciate it for you. I have to, because it's an honest day's living. But I want to tell you the truth, and this is not about hurting feelings or talking down or being an elitist. I need you to know that in 10 years, you may or may not have a job, because AI, artificial intelligence. See, this is the part nobody wants to talk about.
The lawyers might not have a job in 10 years.
They might not, and that's why.
And yet she wants to talk about fucking thanks bus drivers. Like, yeah, you might not have a job. Like,
but as much disdain she may have for average men, you know, being mediocre and not pushing ahead to get good grades, women like her talk all this mess about average guys dating a average bus driver. But I think she's lying about that. I think she will date one of those average guys from one of those Tyler Perry movies. Let's say the particular bus driver she's speaking of, let's just say he happens to be a nice looking man. He's attractive. He got all his things in order. He only make $50,000 a year, but everything else in his life that she get to know about and she get to see, she found out that he's an actual good man.
And I'm here to address the confusion that I personally had about the bigotry of low expectations, the mediocre jobs that we're calling, or not we're, but some folks are calling the folks who drive buses and folks who are traditionally service workers. And I think that sometimes, you know, as attorneys, we can forget about where we came from and how important those roles are. And so I'm here because I thought long and hard about what it meant to
long and hard
come from a grandmother who was a nurse, a grandfather who had his own electrician business and made it in the jet chat. I'll be an electrician. My grandmother, Granny, who was an inspector for the quality control line at Boeing. My grandfather, Gramps, who was a Pullman porter. Shout out to A. Philip Randolph. And all of them were service workers. All of them at some point could have been deemed mediocre.
Yep.
And what I would say to you all as a caveat and to just lay this groundwork initially on a micro level, we to fail, and at every turn we have overcome. I don't know what's going on with this connection, but all I'm saying is I'm doing all that I can with the gifts that I know that I have, the potential that I know that I'm walking in, and that does not beget access to a cap table, right?
This is the other part of it, right? She's 100% correct. People are only able to do what their abilities are able to give them. Not everybody has the abilities to be a lawyer. Not everybody has the abilities to strive to be better than a bus driver. The bus driver might be the best that they can do, but they're a damn good bus driver and they love their job, they love taking care of the kids, and they love driving kids around or whatever particular bus they're doing. Right? And same thing for a lot of other jobs, like trash collectors. Maybe they're not that educated to be able to get higher, different jobs, but they are very, very skilled at doing their job, and very few people would want to do their job. So looking down on someone that does a job that most people don't want to do is pretty fucked up, considering the opposite is when women look at men CEOs and they want to be CEOs, and they don't understand that not everybody has the capabilities to be that CEO. This is why the whole affirmative action thing doesn't work out, because they don't qualify to be the CEO, but yet you're going to put someone in that position. If this was the case, why don't we just make it so bus drivers can become CEOs too and just fill in that position? But it can't happen that way, because that bus driver does not have the skill set that the CEO does.
Especially because we know how we look, we know who we are, we're very clear about all of that. So what I would say is, if we are mediocre at all, as a people, I'm just speaking very generally here. If we are mediocre at all as a people, the culture, if we're mediocre at all, it is because of the very whack-ass circumstances we've been placed in, and we've thrived and we've survived. And so what I would say to us is to avoid the Bill Cosby rhetoric, like we've seen where that's landed him. We don't have any place for that in our culture. We don't need to pull ourselves up by bootstraps when we, for whatever reason, have not been given the boots. We know what the reason is. So you can't pull yourself up. You can't condition yourself out of mediocrity. You have to be provided a different kind of playing field. And so I would challenge all of us to focus on equity, to focus on access, to focus on the things that change the conditioning, the current circumstances.
All right, I was with her until she went to that equity part. No, people should not get extra boosts in life just because they're lacking certain skills. They need to go and get those skills to be able to get those jobs. We shouldn't just be boosting everybody to a certain level when people don't deserve to be at that level. This is how society fails, when you're putting people at certain levels that they're gonna fail in because they are not able to achieve those levels of success or levels of competency. Why are we giving them these little footstools to get there, even though these footstools don't give them the skills? It just gives them the ability to get there, and they're gonna fail. You're setting people up to fail with these little footstools.
Circumstance, the environment, those are the things we need to focus on. And meanwhile, we need to shout out every person in our family, every person in our community that makes a difference for us, that has made our lives possible. There are folks in our community who were able to buy their first homes, those homes still in their families because they were in these mediocre jobs, being exceptional, doing the best they could with what they have. And everybody else who's coasting, that's up to them. But we've got to be very careful with our words. So what I would tell you all is that we should continue to stay resilient, that we should continue to live and exist in our power, that we should continue to be overcomers and conquerors, and know that there is better for us, and we especially will be better off if we continue to challenge the system and change the game. But in the meantime, we don't need to boo-boo or poo-poo on anybody and where they currently are, where they find themselves. We do not know how they got there. We don't know what else they're trying to do, what else they have going on for themselves. That's just not our role.
Nope.
So I hope that this clears it up for some of us.
I agree.
And this is also a great moment for Black folks. You know why? It's very clear we're not monolithic. We see things different ways. Language triggers us in different ways.
Yep.
We need to be responsible with our words and be very clear about what we're trying to communicate. So what I hope that y'all hear from me today is I stand with the sanitation worker, the bus driver, the school teacher, my auntie who was a librarian before she passed, my uncle who was a painter before he passed, everybody who's made it possible.
So I think she lacks world experience and just social experience. She's never really had a conversation with a bartender, with an average waiter, with a...
Well, I mean, she's 40 now and still hasn't found a man. Even if she's up the upper echelon, all right? There's men at the upper echelon. There's black men. There's good men at the upper echelon that, as she was climbing her career, that I'm sure would have been suitors for her. But obviously her attitude and her masculinity ruined it for her. And now she's in this boat trying to argue the facts that men are lesser. Men need to step up, especially black men need to step up so they can match her. It's like, bitch, you're at a certain level already. The men that are at your level don't like you and aren't with you. So why should men strive to be where you're at when the men that where you're at don't even want you?
A mechanic with service working people. This is the type of woman who is so bougie that she wouldn't even acknowledge the average person. That's one thing I don't like about not only this particular woman, but people in general. I noticed that people only respect other people when they have money. Some of these people out here that has money and
it's hard to say. It is what it is. This is what's ingrained into me by my father. My father ingrained this into me. The story that my father always tells is the Donut King. I don't know if you guys... There's a movie, I don't know if it's still on Hulu or not, it's called Donut King. It is a movie about a refugee Cambodian that came to the United States, came to California, learned from Winchell's Donuts, and then started his own donut empire, to where he owned like almost 100 donut shops in Southern California. He was such a big influence that 95% of all donut shops in California is owned by Cambodians, thanks to him. He was the first Cambodian millionaire. He was at his peak. He was earning like $100,000 passively from all of his shops that he was leasing out to other families. He lost it all through gambling. This is why my dad uses this story. My dad says when he was rich, every time he called someone, everyone would be like, "Oh my God, the king is calling me. It must be my lucky day. Oh, it's wonderful. He's calling me." Great things are happening. That's how people viewed it when he called them when he was well off. When he lost everything and started calling people, sentiments changed. Sentiments was, "Oh, it's him again. Probably needs money. I don't really want to answer the call." That was ingrained into me when I was young. That how much money affects you. My dad says, money isn't everything. But without money, most people are nothing.
Resources, they are some of the worst people that you want to meet or be around. They are so stuck up and arrogant because of the dollar amount or because of their degrees. They won't even.
I agree with him. Those people are like that, but that's how the world kind of works. This is the horrible part of the world. We cannot change this part, so all we can do is, use our own image.
To speak to you. They won't even speak to you. They won't even acknowledge you when you walk in the room. You guys have been around wealthy, stuck-up idiots. You know what I'm talking about. And that's people's issue with her. I don't think men really care about the fact of what she said. We know all these women really feel that way. All these women got these standards of classism, which is fine. That's how our world operates. Yep. Our world, and I say our world because I'm over here in Thailand. It's the same way in Bangkok.
My bad.
So that's all I got in this video.
Already.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and also don't forget to follow me on Dating Right Clips and Ronin Passport. Thanks for watching to the end.
That was some interesting chow. It's sad that when women get to a certain level and they're still single, they seem to want to push down the men that are lower than them and say, "Oh, you couldn't make it. You couldn't make it to my level." It's like, bitch, what about all the men that did make it and are above you that looked past you? Have you ever thought of that part of things? And the whole bus driver thing, she caps back and saying like, "Oh, she never talked about money." But the reason why you said he had to be a bus driver was because his income would have been too low if he was just a regular bus driver instead of owning the bus. So it always comes down to money. Please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys next time. It's chow time.